Hey guys, it's Otto here. Now, in this video, what I'm going to do is show you the specific steps you need to take in order to launch, productize, and scale a six-figure email agency. Now, if you're expecting flash graphics and incredible editing and infotainment, this video is not for you. But if you have the attention span to sit through this video and listen to the words that I'm going to tell you and read the words that are on this simplistic, minimalistic text document here, then I promise you, you're going to be able to bring in 10 to 30K this month, no questions asked, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to minimize my face, put myself over here, and we're going to jump into the first step here, okay? So the first thing that you want to do when launching and creating your email agency is to establish the foundations and to do so incredibly quickly, okay? So what I always advocate for is having a lean business, okay? So what we want as entrepreneurs and as agency owners is frankly to make the most amount of money, have the greatest amount of profit with the fewest amount of moving parts and input variables, okay? So I actually want to make indefinite amounts of money, more and more and more money, more and more profit with actually a smaller team, fewer clients and less work to do, okay? And you should too, all right? And that's how we scale and that's what we're gonna get onto in this simplistic text document here, okay? So the first things first, create a minimum viable product or a minimum viable service, okay? So skip all the elaborate branding. If you've got any ideas or notions to create a huge website with an incredible brand and spend, thousands of dollars and countless hours on creating a logo, stop right there, okay? Use your personal name, use your surname, use a business idea name that you've had, in the shower, whatever it might be. Do what you need to do to get your minimum viable kind of assets created in the shortest amount of time possible, okay? And that's one of the biggest failing points and bottlenecks I see with agency owners like you watching this, is that you will likely spend 6 to 9 months trying to create your offer, develop your brand, create assets, all the time whilst you're actually avoiding doing revenue generating activities, okay? So you can make money easily and quickly if you go to market ASAP, okay? And that's what I want you to do. Now, in order to actually go to market and get that kind of minimum viable service in place, that's all you need, okay? You need a name, you need a logo that you can make on Canva or whatever it might be. You can order it on Fiverr, and you need some sort of minimum viable sales assets in place, okay? So we use High Level for all of our landing pages now. We've used complex Webflow websites in the past, Framer.com websites, and arguably all of our High Level landing pages have actually performed a lot better than those complicated websites. And second to that, the more infrastructure you have in place on that branding side of things, the more pages you have on your website, the more of your time is going to be taken up from editing it and trying to develop those assets as opposed to actually pitching and closing clients and collecting cash, okay? So you have to get to that point quickly, all right? And if you haven't done that already, do that right now. Pause this video, create your name, just decide on it, create a landing page on High Level, and then open up your LinkedIn page again, or update your LinkedIn page if you haven't done already. Now, I guess almost equally as important to that is you have to find a way and you have to create a way to actually collect cash, okay? So this is going to come in the form of some sort of payment gateway. Typically, you're going to use something like Stripe. Increasingly, we're seeing a lot of issues with agencies and service providers actually, relying on Stripe solely. So, later on we can sort of discuss payment gateway diversification, but at this stage, open up a payment gateway, Stripe, Square, or any other sort of merchant provider in order to take payment, okay? And you might not think this is something that you should do now, but 9 times out of 10, what I see is if you don't have a mechanism to actually collect cash, there will always be a barrier for you to do so, okay? So you have to create a kind of, unbridled flowing river in terms of where the cash can flow from, okay? From your client to you. And if you don't have a merchant gateway, if you don't have a payment system set up, it's even when you get a client that's agreed, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually have the level of conviction you need in order to collect the cash from them, okay? So it's a kind of practical mindset step there that you need to do, all right? So do not get bogged down at this stage. Do it ASAP. Now, second to this, you need to kind of loosely define your vertical and your niche. Now, riches are in the niches, as the Americans say, but you might find that starting out on your e-com email journey that you actually don't know what niche you want to commit to, okay? And that's absolutely fine. Now, instead of trying to commit to a niche that you have no idea about, but you've found that it's potentially a good opportunity, or if you've heard it's a good idea, like solar is one of the ones that we see, increasingly these days. What you can do and what we recommend is actually zooming out to the wider vertical. Okay, so it's okay to start from the point of view that you are an email, an SMS marketing specialist within the e-com space. And then from there, what you can do is start to draw down leads lists, tap into different niches, and actually the niches will appear to you. Okay, so you might get responses or more engagement from, cosmetics or menswear or pet care or pet food, whatever it might be. And you might think, actually, those niches really align nicely with my interests and my skills. And also I'm getting engagement with them. So there's win-win. Okay, and that is a practical, tangible way that you can actually secure and select a niche without restricting yourself too early on in the process. Okay. So when it comes to e-com clients, largely that vertical is going to be defined by the e-com platform that your clients and your prospective clients are operating their stores from. So we talk about the big three. We've actually got Wix here, which isn't part of the big three, but Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, Magento, Wix, and there's a handful of other e-com platforms that a number of different brands are on, but largely it's going to be Shopify stores. Okay, so your wider vertical focus, your niche per se at the start could be, you help Shopify stores increase placed order values or lifetime value of their customers through email and SMS. Okay, so don't get bogged down on niche selection. Go to market quickly and see where you get traction, see where the engagement is. All right. What you want to do as well is position yourself as a unique expert as opposed to a generic marketing agency. Now, watching this video, you are probably under the impression that e-commerce is oversaturated, and you're not wrong. Okay, you're not wrong in the first instance where, yes, e-com is saturated. We see a large number of oftentimes teenagers in their mum's basement spam DMing brands on Instagram and doing no follow-up, having no offer that's actually valuable. They've done no sort of foundational work. They've done none of the legwork to actually figure out whether they have something of value to offer, yet they use AI or they use Instagram DM bots and they spam a load of brands. Okay, so in the first instant, yes, e-commerce is saturated, but when it comes to actually people who are serious and they have a medium to long-term vision, like you, hopefully, who you've had the attention span to watch this video so far, then you're not going to find you're going to have a huge amount of competition. All right, but in any case, if you refer to yourself as a marketing agency, because of the connotations and the lack of trust with agencies, a lot of brands are going to turn away from you before you can even give them your value pitch. All right, so position yourself as a partner. Don't say you're a marketing agency, and leverage the fact that you are a technical expert. Okay, and this differentiation is basically what's going to allow you to avoid being commoditized. Okay, i.e., being seen as just a run-of-the-mill service that is in high supply, and where the power of the kind of decision making lies with the fact that there's low demand. Okay, with your prospective clients. From there, what you want to do is identify your ideal client profiles. Okay, so once you've decided on the wider vertical, maybe you've decided on a niche, start to think about 10 to 20 potential brands who would be the ideal dream brands for you. Okay, so don't restrict yourself, don't limit yourself and think, oh, well, they're too big, or they've got too many members of staff, or they never pay me, or I don't know what I'm doing. Start to actually think about and identify what your ideal client profile looks like, and this is going to help you define your search parameters when you come to prospecting and lead gen. Okay, so things like extracting keywords and then mapping those keywords to other potential brands, then that is something that will help you in this early stage of your business. Okay, so number 3 here. All right, guys, now stick with me because we're going to race through these points. I'm going to move that over there. All right, number 3. Okay, you've got to structure a compelling offer. Now, in true elk of avoiding the agency lack of trust kind of brand tarnish and focusing on being a technical expert and a partner, what you want to do is actually deliver something that is truly valuable to the prospective client that you want to work with. Okay, now what e-com brands don't want is to be locked into long, rigid contracts that they can't escape from. They don't want to pay for work that is going to take, that arguably could take, 24 hours, that they're going to have to agree to pay for the next 6 to 9 months in order to help the agency with their projected cash flow. Okay, they want value upfront. They want all of their assets and infrastructure immediately so that they can actually start making money from it. And that's where the build and release model comes in. Okay, and if you don't know what build and release is, take a look back through some of the other videos on my channel where I talk you through our specific step-by-step build and release process that basically enabled us to escape commoditization ourselves, and over the last few years actually be able to close clients upfront for anything, between $6,000 to $12,000, where almost 99% of the time we can actually then secure them on a retainer on the back end. Okay, so now we went from commoditized offer, not being very valuable, not being trusted as an agency, to a technical expert, a lifelong partner, where we actually get paid upfront before lifting a finger and doing any of the work. Okay, so you have to take the time to actually structure an offer that your client wants. Okay, now in any case, don't focus on percentages, focus on revenue upticks and uplifts. Leverage key terminology and jargon that is actually going to call out your ICPs. So talk about LTVs, talk about placed order values, talk about abandoned carts, and don't actually reference the fact that we work with e-com brands only. Okay, it's pretty much a quick fire way to show that you probably don't and you actually don't have experience. Okay, so these are just a couple of ideas that you can kind of bring in and leverage when actually creating an offer that is valuable. All right. In any case, what you want to do is highlight speed and highlight value. So the beauty of a build and release infrastructure build is that you are basically delivering for a client what another marketing agency oftentimes will promise yet fail to deliver within a 6 to 9 month process, or oftentimes 9 to 12 months. You're going to promise and deliver that in a 24-hour period, and that's what we do as an agency. Okay, again, I've got a load of different videos on the channel that will talk you through exactly how we do that. All right, so highlight value and speed, and do not do what everybody else is doing in the space. All right. The third point here when it comes to actually structuring a compelling build and release offer is just to clearly map out expectations. So client success is really dependent on communication, and communication really is underpinned by mapping out clear expectations. And if you don't do that effectively, if you don't evidence the scope and put it in black and white and tell your clients clearly what the process is going forward and then stick to that, it's going to lead to a position where they don't trust you and they don't want to continue paying you for the work that you do. Okay, so you have to be transparent. You have to show them how you're going to transform their business and what you're going to do specifically, and this is going to ultimately instill confidence in them. Okay, they're going to trust you more and they're going to work with you longer, which means more cash in your pocket. All right, so number 4 here, building the technical and outreach infrastructure. So once you've done all the foundations, once you've laid the groundwork successfully, what you want to focus on is the tangible aspects and the inputs you can control when it comes to outreach. Okay, now do not overcomplicate this. We work with guys all the time who are saying, I'm sending 1,000 emails a day and I'm not getting any clients and I don't know what's going wrong. Chances are, if you're sending 1,000 emails a day and you're not getting replies, you need to go back to the drawing board. You need to create something of value, an offer that's actually going to resonate and add value to your clients' businesses. Okay, so when it comes to outreach, all you really need is burner domains. You need to make sure that you've got 3 to 5 burner domains and you set up no more than 2 to 3 usernames and users on those accounts. You can use Google Workspaces that have switched over to Squarespace, or you can use Microsoft Office, whatever platform you use. Just make sure you're using something that's legitimate, so that everything from a deliverability point of view is set up as it should be. Okay, and from there, what you're going to need is a ESP, an email service provider like Instantly, where you can send out automated and personalized email campaigns. Okay, so in the first instance, if you don't have budget to do this, I think Instantly's lowest plan is $90 a month or something like that, and it ramps up dependent on how many leads you have or draw down from their prospecting system, or how many emails you send. If you don't have the budget to pay for them, do this manually. Okay, this is what I did 6 years ago when I started my business. I emailed, I think it was 10 manual cold emails per day that I followed up religiously on, and that was enough to get me, I think, my first 3 to 5 clients. Okay, so in this world of AI, in this world of automation and systemization, look for a strategic advantage. If you have time, if you don't have budget, then put in the manual work. And I promise you, if you send 10 emails a day to decision makers of e-com stores and you follow up with them religiously, and you have an offer that is valuable, deliverability is all good, and they like what they see, then that's going to be a much quicker way of you actually collecting a 6K upfront payment than it is to spend 3 to 6 months trying to, warm up domains and creating intricate domains and trying to send 1,000 emails a day without putting actually in the hard work at the start. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to need a way to actually generate leads. Now, I've only been creating content. If you call this creating content, it's hardly sort of much effort goes into these videos because I'm busy running the agency still today. But when it comes to creating content, do not do this, okay? Don't do this at the start of your journey if you're an absolute beginner. Start with outreach. Start doing what you can with drawing down B2B leads. You can use a system or a database, I should say, a software called Apollo.io, which is what we use today, where you can actually trigger your search parameters based on the technologies and the regions and a load of other different variables that will help you segment and create lead pool lists from companies around the world, okay? So we do this primarily by their technology that is integrated with their e-com store, their website. And again, you can use free tools to do this. You can use Wapalizer or built with Chrome extensions if you don't want to pay $90 a month for Apollo, whatever it might be, okay? But you need to find e-com stores. You need to actually know that the companies you're reaching out to sell products to consumers online, i.e. they are actually based off of an e-com backbone like Shopify or WooCommerce, whatever it might be. And you need to check whether they have an ESP already integrated, because that is the nature of your service delivery, okay? So based on that, you can then tailor your outreach dependent on all of those unique and individual search parameters, okay? And then again, look, automated email warm-up goes without saying. If you're buying domains, if you want to go for a medium amount of volume in the quickest period of time, you're going to have to wait 10 to 14 days for domains to warm anyway. But in the meantime, there's nothing stopping you doing that cold manual outreach. All right. So the next step here is an important one. And what we're going to do in this step is basically establish service market fit and talk a little bit about the sales process. Now, what you want to do when you have your leads list drawn down, you want to have a way to qualify your clients, okay? And if you've done this process here correctly, if you've toggled for budget and size of company, number of employees they have, tech stack on their website, location, a lot of that kind of BANT qualification process, all of the boxes are going to be ticked there mostly anyway. But in any case, you're going to have to start increasing the number of touch points you have with your prospective clients, and you're going to have to get them on a call sooner rather than later, okay? So the first call you have with them is oftentimes no more than a character check. Yes, it's an opportunity for you to further qualify them, but largely a lot of this work would have been done using the capabilities and the extent of the data that you can actually draw down from tools like Apollo, okay? So from there, what you want to do on that call is build rapport, loosely go through the BANT framework, check they've got the budget, check their level of authority, are they the decision maker, and then check also if they have the need and the urgency and what their timeline is, okay? So if they don't have any of those, if they don't have the budget, if they're not urgent, if they've got it in-house, they're doing it, then it just might not be a client you can work with, and that's okay, all right? There's plenty of other e-com brands you can work with out there. From there, what you want to do is secure a second call. So on every call, there has to be a CTA and a clear next step process after that call that you secure during the same call, okay? So don't hang up, don't leave it ambiguous about what the next step is. Book them onto a second call where you're going to talk them through everything you could do for their brand. And the way that we do this is simply by asking them for analyst access to their Klaviyo account, okay? So we work solely using Klaviyo as an ESP. We used to do migrations and work across other platforms, but in order to have achieved the scale that we've achieved with our product agency, we solely focus on being a technical expert when it comes to Klaviyo, okay? And all e-com brands, frankly, should be using Klaviyo if they're looking to future-proof their business. All right, so getting analyst access, what this is going to do, and again, make it very clear to your prospective client the process they need to go through to give you that access. What this is going to do is basically enable you to see elements of their account that you can then draw down, create a bit of a strategy and framework around that you then present on the next demo call, all right? So we call this a 2-call close process where in reality, 2 calls is all it can take in order to actually close a build and release client on an e-com email offer. Sometimes it takes more, but it shouldn't take you any more than sort of 1, 2 to 5 calls total in order to actually take that client from total ambiguity, cold prospect, and not knowing who you are and not, frankly, having any trust in you to actually paying you for a service that you've pitched them, okay? Cash collected. All right, so we focus on a 2-call close, but don't get hung up on that. And specifically, if you're a beginner, don't feel pressure by this, because that pressure and that desperation and urgency will show through on your calls, all right? So when you're going through this process, you want to flip the frame that you are coming from and I guess the relationship that you have with the prospective client. Now, one of the biggest issues and bottlenecks I see with new salespeople or new agency owners is that they always feel that a call is an opportunity for the client to grill them. It's for the client to ask them questions that they have to answer. And if they can't answer, if you can't answer those questions successfully or accurately, then there's going to be no way the client's ever going to pay you for the transformation you're promising them. Okay. That is not correct. All right. These opportunities are for you to ask the client questions and for them to answer. Okay. So it is unethical, it's immoral, and it's unprofessional to give a price to pitch a client when you actually don't know whether you can help them or you don't actually know the details regarding how you can help them. Okay. And it's up to you during this process to extract those details from them. And we do this by asking open-ended questions. Okay. So we basically need to discover where their unmet needs are, and we need to deepen the relationship with that client by having this conversation. Okay. So examples of ways that we do this, and you could say from a formal sales perspective, we are qualifying their budget, but in reality, we are building trust and building rapport by having a general conversation with them. And I'm going to give you an example now. So we might say on a sales call with a prospective client, look, we actually don't work on the acquisition side of things. We don't manage, paid advertising spends. We don't do Facebook ads, Google PPC. Everything we do is on the retention side. So for you, it's free. Once that infrastructure is up in place, you're not going to have to keep, keeping it alive through an actual ad spend. But out of interest, what's your success been like with advertising? Okay, open-ended question. They can't simply answer yes or no. And what the prospective client is going to do, in response to that, is say, we've had mixed results, or we've had terrible results, or we spend 50 grand a month and we don't make enough sales, whatever it might be. But in that moment, you're going to qualify their budget. You're going to get an idea of how much they are actually spending on a large share of their marketing and advertising currently. And that's going to help you price your services. Okay, so if they're spending 50 grand or 100 grand a month on TikTok ads or Facebook ads, and they're not getting the ROI they want, it might be a very good kind of leverage point for you to say to them, look, if you actually apportion some of that spend to us so that we can take care of all of your retention stuff, you're not going to have to keep spending that money, but it's going to be a way for us as an agency, you as an agency, to actually get paid significantly, for them to recuperate losses on the acquisition side, and then for them to open up a whole new world of revenue generating opportunities through email and SMS. Okay, so that's just an example of how you can not only qualify your clients, but actually deepen the relationship and get that kind of information about their unmet needs. All right. So when it comes to service delivery, one thing I always say is that as an e-com email agency owner, or if you provide e-com email as a service, you should not and you do not want to become the best email marketer. Okay, now that might seem counterintuitive. That might seem questionable, from a kind of business practice point of view. But if you try and become an expert, what's going to happen is two things. Okay, so you're going to waste 10,000 hours. In any case, you're going to have to dedicate 10,000 hours to becoming the best email marketer in the world, which arguably, if you don't have income that you're generating now, or you don't have the time, you're not going to be able to survive during that period of time. Okay, so can you ask yourself now, if I was to sit down and work 12 hours a day to become the best email marketer, to learn copy, to learn everything on the technical deliverability side of things, to learn how to migrate accounts and graphic design and write copy, whatever it might be, do you have 6, 9, 12 months to solely focus on that and practice that? Do you have the cash flow to do that? Chances are, if you're watching the video, the answer is going to be no there. And even if you do have the cash, you're not going to have the kind of patience or the drive to do so. And even if you do, even if you have the cash to sustain yourself and you want to do that, even after that period of time, you still won't be the best email marketer out there. There's still going to be people that have been doing this for 10 years prior, 20 years prior, that will know a lot more than you do when it comes to this. But it's very, very interesting. I conduct a number of calls every single week. I've spoken to hundreds of you guys who watch these videos, and we've helped almost 2,000 agency owners scale businesses just like this. And it's so interesting when I talk to people that are sat in your position about this process, because your responsibility is as a business owner, okay? And as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, if you are not making sales, you're not generating cash. And if you're not generating and collecting cash, you don't have a business, okay? So if you don't have cash flow, if you're not making money from the company, you don't even have the luxury to decide whether you want to become the best email marketer or not, okay? So as an entrepreneur, It is your moral obligation to yourself, your team, your family, the world, in terms of the value that you are introducing to the world. It's your moral obligation to generate cash, okay? And if you're not doing that, arguably you're running a charity or a non-profit, and you're not making any money, okay? And you're not going to survive. So when it comes to service delivery, okay, you have to find the quickest way to leverage human capital. Now, the nuts and bolts when it comes to actually what you're going to deliver as a service with email is very simple. It comes down to flows, forms, campaigns, segmentation, and stuff on the technical deliverability side of things, okay? List cleaning, etc. All right? That is the core of what an email marketer does, okay? Now, your job is to go out there and find individuals who are good at that, who are experts or good enough at that, that you can leverage in order to deploy your builds and your retainer services for clients. Now, instead of hiring a copywriter, i.e. instead of hiring specialists for each task, what we recommend you do is employ a full stack implementer as well as a senior graphic designer. Now, there's no reason why you can't find an incredibly talented senior graphic designer for anywhere between 15 to 25 US dollars per hour. And there's no reason why you can't find a full stack Klaviyo implementer who can do everything: client management, account management, copywriting, all of the setup, all of the administrative stuff, scheduling campaigns, for any more than $400 per month, where they actually manage anywhere between 4 to 6 client accounts. All right. So we pay our team a lot more than that. We have different kind of incentive mechanisms that we built into the team that I've talked about in past videos there. But there's no reason why you can't be spending roughly $400 to $600 per month and service 4 to 6 clients who are paying you significantly, anywhere between 6 to 12K upfront for those infrastructure builds, with anything between 4 to 8K on the back end as retainers. All right. So focus on finding a full stack implementer. There's a load of different places that you can find them, Upwork, People Per Hour, whatever it might be. Just make sure you see their portfolios and you understand, what their level of capability is. All right. And failing that, if you don't have the budget for that, you can do it yourself. All right. So a big part of being an entrepreneur, big part of being a business operator and owner, is seeing an opportunity and taking the risk and going after that opportunity when perhaps a lot of the times you're not fully confident you know what you're doing, okay? And even after 6 years of running my business, there's still times that I run into where I'm not fully confident in that area of the business that we are trying to explore. Maybe it's advertising or accounting, whatever it might be. All right. So when it comes to service delivery, if you are finding you're focusing on service delivery, flip that and focus on client acquisition. All right. So when it comes to client acquisition, what we want to do is basically optimize your outreach. Now, do not introduce various different channels, omni-channel approaches. Focus on cold, customized emails. Drill that into the ground and improve all the bottlenecks that you're finding you are coming up against. Okay. And once you've done that, then you can go into, adding in different outreach channels there. All right. A second point here is that I see with a lot of you guys that I speak to is that you're simply not doing enough follow-up, okay? So you might use Go High Level for your email follow-ups or SMS follow-ups, whatever it might be, but you're not doing what you can to increase those touch points with your prospective clients, okay? So it's going to take you anywhere between 6 to 9 plus touch points with a cold prospect for you to actually have the opportunity to take them from cold prospect who's unqualified to actually being pitched, being able to close them and collect cash from them, okay? And you need to be doing everything you can to increase those touch points. So every opportunity you have with them, every email you send, every call you have is an opportunity to introduce more touch points. Send them a Loom video, send them a voicemail. If you've emailed them, send them a follow-up message on LinkedIn, send them a message on WhatsApp, SMS them. There's send them a handwritten note. There's 101 different ways that you can increase those touch points. And the sooner you do that, the easier it's going to be to actually build trust and get you into a sales environment with that prospect, okay? Now from there, when they're closed, when you've got them, you just need a way to centralize all client communications. Have Slack for direct communication with the clients. Use ClickUp for all of your project management, processes to have a single source of truth when it comes to all of your assets for that client. Use ClickUp so that your team can access all of the details and you can actually set tasks for your team and measure their time that they are allocating to those tasks, and then use a tool like Markup if you are sharing graphic designs with your clients and with your employees so that you can actually simplify and streamline the amendment process with your designs, okay? So racing on here, guys, we talked a little bit about hiring and outsourcing. Again, stop focusing on service delivery, stop focusing on your brand, stop focusing on becoming the best. Pivot your perspective and focus on revenue generating activities, and sooner rather than later start trying to hire people across these platforms. Okay, so start putting out job ads, start interviewing, create some sort of process where you can actually we use Airtable, where we filter in all of our applications. Even if you're not hiring, even if you don't have the budget, the sooner you do this, the easier and quicker it's going to be to actually hire individuals who are of a high quality when you need them, when the time presents itself. Okay, and then around this, what you want to do is basically set them with trial tasks, pay them for those tasks to front load trust and goodwill and sentiment. Set clear expectations with all of your employees, and specifically do that around deadlines, what you're expecting in terms of timelines and urgency, as well as their compensation. Okay, so again, all of this comes down to communication. Running a successful agency really comes down to communication as a foundational core value, and from there you can build systems that free up your time. All right, so when it comes to the structure of how you actually work with those clients, if we're looking at this from a build and release perspective, what you are ultimately doing is getting paid a significant chunk of money, 6 to 12K, for an initial infrastructure build. In that period of time, what you're going to do is basically clone across all of the assets in your Klaviyo account, or build those assets in your Klaviyo account directly into the client Klaviyo account. Okay, and you're going to go through a brief customization process. Like I say, I've got a number of different videos on the channel if you want to brush up on what build and release actually looks like and what we do as an agency. Okay, so after delivering the initial build, what you want to do is basically provide a clear offboarding process. Now, like I say, 9 times out of 10, we are actually able to cross-sell, downsell, and sometimes upsell our clients where we've delivered initial infrastructure build on an ongoing retainer basis. Okay, and the way that we do that is simply by offering them more advanced or deeper campaign management. We do that by offering a schedule of advanced flows, flows that are integrated with third-party service providers and tools like reviews.io or whatever it might be, gamification kind of softwares that we can implement into their forms as well. And again, ongoing technical optimization, additional design work, or seasonal and promotional needs. Okay, so one of the quickest and easiest ways we were able to actually double our fees, where we now, I think we're managing to date 13 Klaviyo accounts, and our fee for ongoing retainer services is $5,000 per month at a minimum. We were able to achieve those fees by upselling existing clients on the fact that we're coming into Black Friday very soon. We'll then soon be into Boxing Day sales, Christmas and January sales. And in order to do that, for those clients to actually, get a load of new list subscribers and make a load of money during those periods, we're going to have to double the amount of work we do for them. Okay, so it's the quickest way we were able to basically say to them, if you want to make the most of these key sale months, it's not going to be forever, but for now we're going to have to double the volume of work we're going to have to do, which is going to double our fee. Okay, and from there you can then tackle ongoing retainer services with them. All right, so it's all about client loyalty. When you create build and release offers, when you promise to deliver something and you deliver it within a dramatically short period of time, you front load a load of trust, and from there it becomes 100% easier, 100 times easier to actually cross sell or upsell or downsell ongoing retainer services that will give you security of projected cash flow as an agency. Okay. Now, the final point here, and I commend you if you've gotten this far, if you have watched this far with this simple, brutally reductionist text document here, then I can tell that you are somebody who is actually serious about launching, productizing, and scaling a 6-figure email agency. If you weren't, you wouldn't be this far in this video, okay? So when it comes to scaling and continuous improvement, there's a reason this has come as the last bullet point. Now, if you are in the online marketing space, scaling, automating, systemizing, leveraging AI is something that is such a hot topic right now that it oftentimes will basically prevent you from seeing the forest for the trees when it comes to revenue generating activities that will help you right here, right now. So instead of trying to optimize, bullet point 1 here, step 1, and trying to scale here before defining your offer and selecting your niche and creating your build and release infrastructure, service delivery, processes and hiring, whatever it might be, all of this continuous improvement and optimization should come as the final point. All right. And this is when you can start to integrate things, post-delivery aspects of, a retention strategy, like asking for video reviews. We use Video Ask. If you're watching this video, you might have already left us a Video Ask testimonial. And ultimately what this is going to do is just reinforce how good you are as a technical expert and as a partner. Okay. So there's a way to do this all without actually having video testimonials. Again, I've got other videos that talk you through exactly how to do that. It's easy once you know how to do it, but focus on doing this when you've actually successfully deployed a build for your clients. Okay, and what this is ultimately going to do for you is give you long-term service market fit. Okay, so where were we? We went back to this process here about creating a minimum viable product and securing that kind of initial proof of concept. Well, over the long term, this is what you're going to be able to achieve with a framework like this. Okay, you're going to be able to get feedback. You're going to be able to iterate on that feedback. And what this is going to help you do is basically keep your service as something that's relevant and actually tailored towards clients who have the budget, have the capital to invest in it. All right, so like I say, guys, if you've gotten this far in this video, congratulations. You're obviously serious about launching and scaling your e-com email agency. Now, as a quick and very simple plug here, we've got resources that we can give you that will help you do this. Okay, so I'm going to drop a link below to something that's going to help you dramatically cut that time that you're going to have to take otherwise doing this on your own, and it's going to help you start charging 6K fees upfront in a matter of 7 to 14 days, which is what we've achieved with some of our previous individuals like yourself that we have worked with. Okay, so I'm going to drop a link in the description box below. Click that link and then let me know in the comments if you've got any questions, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, guys, cheers.